Lady Ada, what is this?
Hey everybody, and welcome to Show and Tell. It's me, Lady Ada, with me, Mr. Lady Ada, and we've got a few Ada fruiters here. We're going to be checking in with people. What are you up to? 3D printing, soldering, coding, woodworking? We want to see it. Come by on StreamYard, and we're on Discord.
Yeah.
And we're going to hang out for the next 20 minutes or so. So
we're in all those places. And we do this every single week. So if you're working on a project, can't get to it this week, that's no problem. Every single Wednesday, one of us, some of us, a few of us are here, and we do Show and Tell, the longest running Show and Tell on planet Earth. Okay,
right,
we're going to start off with Liz, and then we're going to go to Erin, and then we'll go to Guy, and then Guy has a screen there. All right, Liz, what you got going on this week?
Hello, I have a cat, Winnie.
Yeah.
But mainly I'll be talking
Good work.
Mainly I'll be talking about a prototype I'm going. So I've got a prop maker feather, a real-time clock module over STEMMA, a speaker, NeoPixels, and a button. And what I'm doing is I'm working on a remake of the talking AdaBot clock, which Phil B did, which is really awesome, but using Arduino and a bunch of shields and everything. So I thought it'd be cool to try to do a prop maker version. So
that was hard to do back then.
Yes, yeah. And I actually thought this code would take me a while just looking at it. But basically it's keeping the time with the real-time clock module, and when I press the button, hopefully we'll be able to hear.
The time is 7:32 p.m.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so there's all these really great wave files that Philby had that's in AdaBot's voice, and I can use the real-time clock module to look up basically the name of the wave file and kind of make this array so it'll play through them and then clear it out every time you press the button. And so in the final build, when it's off the breadboard, it'll be 3D print of AdaBot's wonderful blocky head, with a button, speaker, some NeoPixels to light up his mouth when he's speaking, and it'll be a fun little build for folks.
Yay!
That's exactly one of the projects for the prop maker is an animatronic, talking clock, because people can record their own wave files. They can make the clock look like anything they want, and the clock's useful. You can have it, only do top of the hour every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Or whatever. We're going to show. We're going to talk about your guides plural, I think, this week. You worked on a Docker guide as well. Yeah. I was going to ask, right before we went live, I was asking you about that, because we had to do some Docker stuff a million years ago for like machine learning stuff. But this was the first time you used Docker to get Linux to work on an ESP32S3.
Yes. Yeah, so I took the Docker file that Lady Ada had written for the stream to get it running on the new Metro ESP32S3. So I wrote up a guide walking you how to do it, how to install Docker. I also included like a test Docker file that just opens up a Ubuntu machine and opens up terminal so folks can kind of get used to it. Then how to do the Docker file that Lady Ada wrote, how to load everything onto the ESP32S3, and then if you want to customize stuff, you can use stuff in this thing called build root when you're setting up the Linux kernel and file system, and you can like customize a host name and things and then recompile. So I walked through all that in the guide. So if you saw Lady Ada working on that, you can try it out for yourself. And Docker's really cool. I personally run Windows and I'll use WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux to sometimes do stuff, but sometimes it can be a little tricky. So I'm really excited about using Docker for toolchain stuff in the future. I think it's a really useful tool for folks.
Yeah, it's gotten better over time too. Like there's a lot of neat things. And we were joking around, it's like, it's so hard to set up some tool chains. It's like, okay, I got it set up just how I want. I would like to ship my computer to you, because like it's like Jenga. Like you can't pull out any piece without
especially with like Python setup. It's so easy to just like wreck everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think this will be neat because Linux on a microcontroller is really cool and interesting. The world that's in sometimes a little gatekeeping. It's hard to get in, especially when you're a beginner. Yes. And I think this'll help people like, oh, I just want to kind of do this, and what can I get done in a few minutes, and then learn from there, not just like, oh no.
Yeah, basically all the random Googling I was doing in compilation with Leah's stream, and there was a really good video bot from Scott Hanselman on Docker, is compiled into this guide, so you do not have to do that random Googling.
It's funny, what a full circle. So Scott Hanselman's been on our show. We're tight with Scott, great advocate at Microsoft for developers and more. and he just sent me a text the other day, like one of the articles that we did. I'm just like, cool. So it's an ecosystem. Okay, well, thank you so much, Liz.
Thanks, Liz. Good
Have a good
check-in.
one.
All right,
Next up.
Erin, you have such a cool project this week.
And a great new workshop.
Yeah, what you got going on?
I am working on, or I just finished up this little build of Figment the Dragon. This used to be a Teddy Ruxpin.
Yes.
So Teddy Ruxpin was a toy from the 1980s that they re-released in 2017, but it's got a cool little animatronics module, and it happens to be exact same size as Figment the Dragon. So I have a baby niece who's 2 years old and is super into dragons. Some of the engineers over at Adafruit learned to hack this thing and update the files and everything on it. So this week, my new project is how to do this. So I'll turn them on and see if they'll talk to us.
Hello, Billy. Hello, Daisy. Would you like to hear a story?
And then I have little pads in his paws that'll start the different stories.
Hi, Billy and Daisy. It's your grandmas, Grandma Bonnie and Grandma Ruthie. We're going to read you some fun stories.
So I got my mom to record this from her RV. She's RVing in Alaska right now, like a crazy person, which is fantastic. Sent me the file. And then they also have a grandpa who lives in Australia. So if I push his other hand,
in a land down under, where kangaroos hop and kookaburras laugh, in the gum tree's top, live creatures unique, full of life and zest, in a tale of friendship we're about to invest.
So yeah, the Australian grandpa sent this. He didn't know what to write, and for the longest time, he was just not sending me anything. So I went on ChatGPT, and I typed in, "Hey, write me a 800-word story about two little girls called Billy and Daisy who meet Australian animals." And it sent me back this amazing rhyming story, and I sent it to him just via email, and he just sent me a text file and read it in his lovely Australian accent. So it's a whole story about all the little animals in Australia meeting Billy and Daisy, and now they get to hear their grandpa and grandma's voices whenever they want.
Yeah.
This is so
a cool
neat.
project.
Yeah, one of the things that we wanted to do was have parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever's around a kid to be able to record their voice and put it on an animatronic figure. That's really hard to do. And these Teddy Ruxpins, there's landfills full of them, or essentially they're available. You can get them for like $20 on eBay. They're really cheap. And we're in New York City. There's a Build-A-Bear. And I was like, well, the Build-A-Bears are kind of even the same size. And then we were talking about Figment, and I think you had a Figment or something. You're like, oh, this is the same size. Something came up with Figment because we're Figment fans. And so this is a really neat project. And it's a shame that toy manufacturers, there's no reason for the Teddy Ruxpin to be as encrypted and as hard to deal with.
Well, what's funny in the story, like there are all these other stories, but the company that sold the app is out of business.
Yeah.
So like you can't unlock the other stories anyway. So if you want to do more than just the basic 3 stories, you have to record your own.
And what a neat thing for family members to be able to do this. And then you'll have someone maybe a little bit more technical in the family, like Erin. It's like, oh, I can get here's a story. I get your voices, just send it to me, record it on your phone, whatever. And then you can put it on here, and then it does all the mouthing and stuff like that. What a neat
Yeah,
present.
Jepler wrote the code behind this. So this was a team effort. Jepler's not here because he's got a project for next week maybe. But this was a big collaborative project we had. I did some work on this. Jepler did this final version. Phil B is always doing eye stuff, and I think he also had some suggestions about how to do the eyeball motion.
Yeah,
and then Antonio, who does our iOS development,
Android hacking.
He's the one who finally figured out the decoding thing. So
Hydra, like
there's Ghidra
hacking.
I actually have to publish the guide I wrote about it, how I did the reverse engineering, or how we did the reverse engineering, and I'll publish that too. But I'm glad that we have this how-to guide.
Yeah,
this was started in May. Like May, I remember like May 5th, I was like, I gotta figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's fun.
So, folks will start to see this guide and probably the video. eBay still, I was checking today, you can get a Teddy Ruxpin, these Bluetooth ones that have like this USB drive functionality.
And they're a blob on the inside. You can easily fit it into anything.
Yeah, for like the electronics alone are like $100+ for like $20 shipped. So get them while you can.
Yeah, it's cheaper. It definitely, like, even the memory stick inside and the LED eye, the TFT eyes, you could build it for cheaper than you can just get off the shelf.
All
So
right.
great build. Good work, Erin. Yay.
Thanks so much, Erin.
Best auntie
ever. All right, Guy's screen. What you got going on?
Hello, yes. Months after first going down the USB host wormhole, which I blame you all for, for sending me down. But this is my effects pedal, which is you see 2 copies of now. It is an effects pedal for keyboards and mice. So you plug a USB keyboard into one side, and then the other side has USB-C output, and that goes to your computer. And I have written a number of effects for HID processing. So all of the effects are kind of tied to classic audio effects. So I wrote a reverb for your mouse, so you can kind of send your mouse sailing across
Oh, that's funny.
the screen. I'll demo it.
It like just shakes everything and like.
Yeah, I did distortion, so it adds noise, and then the opposite, I have a noise filter, which the day I implemented, you all talked about, I think it was on Desk with Lady Ada or something, talked about doing an HID remapper where, you know, you were filtering, like doing a low pass filter on motion. I was like, it's a sign.
Yes, examples that we
serendipity with
yeah.
a lot of the stuff we usually work on.
Yeah. So I'm just going to demo one of the effects really quick.
Yeah.
So I have.
You want the screen up still?
Yeah, you're gonna look at the mouse cursor here.
Oh,
so
cool.
this is my favorite one. It's the mouse. It's a looper. So if you know what a looper pedal is, you record. So on a guitar, you would record something. You would hit a button, and that part would keep playing over and over in the background, and then you could play stuff over it. So this is a mouse looper. So what I'm going to do is turn it on, and when I hold the right mouse key, it's going to start recording. And when I let go, it's going to start playing it back. So I'm just going to draw a circle with the mouse. And now I'm hands-free and you can see it going.
That's too funny.
And then I can adjust with the knob. I can adjust the speed. And I can go directions backwards.
I think some companies monitor their employees. I guess you could use this to make it seem like you're still at your desk.
That may have been brought up in the YouTube video. Yeah, and then the keyboard, you can do stuff like delay. So you hit a key and it'll keep typing it for you, which some folks mentioned like might actually be useful if you're playing with like Macs or some other digital audio stuff. And you don't have a MIDI keyboard, you can use this. So there's a whole bunch of effects. I'll put the link in the Discord, and then I just want to show too the circuit board. It was really fun.
Oh, nice.
I'm just getting comfortable with mechanical stuff, so it was really nice. I got it all on one board, holds it all in place except for the foot switch, and then I have the 2 little USB, like the caps for the jacks. I just 3D printed them. They came out really nice in like a PETG, and they actually screw in. You can see in this one, I put threaded inserts on the PCB so that the jacks go in the side, and then you screw them in from the bottom so they stay in, which is kind of nifty. Yeah, I had a tremendous amount of fun with it, and I used CircuitPython for bring up. So just I have the CircuitPython just light the LED and confirm the knob and everything works. And you can actually, I have a CircuitPython implementation of a MIDI controller, so you can use it without any input. You can just plug this into your computer, and it's just a MIDI foot switch. So reprogrammable. You can do whatever you want with it.
This is great.
Okay,
someone in the chat was mentioning, I think we've talked about this before, guitar pedal boxes are really strong for enclosures. If you're looking for a super strong enclosure for your electronics project, and they're pretty standard, and people have a lot of footprints for them, and literally and also in the CAD world, you could probably build off a lot of things that are already out there.
Yeah, totally. And I should mention I got these CNC'd and printed by this guy out in Oregon. His company's Amplify Fun, and his prices were like awesome. Like I did the math, and I actually paid for both things. Like it was cheaper to have him source the pedals, cut them, and print them than for me to get the stuff to screen print and and drill and stuff. So highly recommend looking around for options like that too.
This is rad. Like the
Nice work.
hidden agenda. This is the art looks great. There's a snake on it with a light. This is really cool. All right.
Thanks.
Well, if you remember, you can drop a note to, I guess, me if you want, pt@datafruit.com. If you want anything CircuitPython related in our Python hardware newsletter coming up, if we already haven't covered it.
Yeah, we have
It came in the last one. Anne was on it.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Thank you so much, guys. This is an awesome project.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool. All right, thank you so much, everybody. We're going to wrap up now and start on finishing Ask an Engineer. It's a production, so we have a bunch of stuff to do. It's nice to get out a couple minutes early to get the screens and the keyboards and all the things and the video, and it's like a little production that we do. So we'll see everybody next week. Liz is hosting next week.
Thanks, Liz.
Thanks in advance, Liz. Every single week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's Show and Tell. Ask an Engineer starts in a couple minutes. We'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye.